Hi birdies, it's Crow, and today I'm going to be doing a fanfiction review for a BTS story called Cotton Candy. This is the first video that I'm doing that's not on the post schedule, so this is my first reaction, I guess. I've never read this story before. One time. I have not reread it. It's just the first time that I've read it. And so I'm really excited to get into it. And also there is a siren behind me. If you can see her. Hello, Sai Sai. Say hello. Yeah, are you gonna say hello? And stretch? Yeah. Well, just don't knock anything off. Hey, Sai Sai. Sai Sai, Sai Sai. Okay. Oh, and now she's probably gonna try to get over here. Lay back down. Oh, okay, well, now she's here. Hello, siren. Hello. Okay, well, now we have a siren. Whoop! And tail in the face. This was not how this was supposed to go. You're supposed to say, like, hi, and then lay down and go to sleep. And now I have a cat in my lap. You can... Yes, I see you. And now that I have a cat in my lap, you cannot see that I am wearing a BTS shirt to go... Siren. Siren, hop down. You were supposed to lay down. Why can't you be like Babbitt? And now she's playing with the drawstring on my pants. Hop down. Hop down. You can go back to laying behind me. Or leave. Okay, well, I don't know how... I guess we don't have a siren anymore. Nope, she's sitting in the doorway. Okay, we'll see how that goes. But, without further ado, my BTS t-shirt. Or sweatshirt. I've got Jimin on the back. Even though Suga's my favorite, I also have a Jimin shirt. And this is the only one that's clean. So, that probably says how often I wear the other shirts. Anyways. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Alright, so I already said that the title of the story is Cotton Candy. There is a reason for that. There is, I promise. And the author is... It's the username Mint Soda. However, there are two authors. I don't know anything in particular about each author. I just know that there's two of them, and they go under Mint Soda. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the summary since that very introductory part is taken care of. So the summary just reads, he could get used to sitting next to Yoongi like this, to have him around, to have the band around, to smile and feel happy, to see Yoongi sitting in front of an instrument and having him play just for him. If this was my happy ending, Jimin thinks, resisting the urge to lean his head on Yoongi's shoulder. If I wasn't who I am, I'd just let you have me whenever you want. You could have me anytime. As spring turns into summer, school band Cotton Candy unexpectedly loses its singer and the members are forced to look for a new vocalist. 6 boys find one in the form of the promiscuous pink-haired boy, Park Jimin, who makes a home in their hearts and finally finds a place he belongs. So that answers the question of the title. It is named after the band. It's a high school band. It is a 90s band AU. Which is weird because I was born in 2000. So I've never really experienced the 90s, but I was in that weird middle phase. I'm not really like a 2000s kid. I'm not a 90s kid. I'm in that weird phase of people between 1998 and 2002 that are just their own sort of creature. So, I really enjoyed this, even though I had to ask my parents about a couple of things, like, what is this? What is a Walkman? What does that do? So, housekeeping stuff. The platform is on AO3. The rating is E for sexy times. The word count is at 240,000 words, so it is not a quick read. It is quite lengthy. You would have to really sort out a chunk of time to read this. It took me about a month of off and on reading to get through it. Sequels or additional works, there aren't any that I'm aware of. The fandom, of course, is BTS. The pairings, it's pretty much all Yoongi and Jimin. But there is also Taekook, which is Taehyung, and Jungkook. And then there's also Jin and an OC. She doesn't really pop up all that much, but she's there. And a couple of her friends as well. The only major warning there is underage because a couple of the characters are under 18. But all of it is consensual in that sense. Now there are other themes of just past abuse. There's some pictures that were taken that's past and it's by an antagonist. It's not any of our sweet boys. But there are a few dark themes, so you might want to tread carefully. I believe that they keep it pretty well done in the notes beforehand, so you know what you're getting into. Is it well written? I would say yes. There is definitely a plot, and it follows along the plot very well. Grammar is decent. The authors are not native English speakers, so it's definitely forgivable. And there's just a couple of typos, or every now and then there's phrasing that sounds weird. There was one time where they didn't know the word for backboard, like a basketball hoop backboard, and they described it, and I was like, wouldn't you just say backboard? Things like that. It's not a big deal. It's still very readable and understandable. Are there any OCs? Yes, the parents are quite involved in the story. Not majorly, but they are there. They're very well written, though. They're each their own and all of that. Then there is an antagonist, which I'd rather the antagonist be an OC than, one of our boys or another K-pop band, honestly. In character or out of character? I would say that this is a story that is decently out of character because, okay, if there's a Babbit in my lap. Hello, Babbit. Are you making yourself known again? Here, hop up. It's a Babbit. Okay. You've had your showtime. Are you going to lay down? So this is the first story that I would say is kind of out of character. It's not bad. It's very well written. The characters are well written. I think it probably is because it's a high school AU and there is some past abuse or otherwise circumstances that change their character to make them act in one way or another. But of course that AU takes some liberties. It's fan fiction. So it is a little bit out of character, but once you're in the story, you don't notice it as much. Alright, so here's my spoilers warning. Spoilers beyond here. If you don't want any spoilers, go read the story. So my favorite parts. I will say that I have fewer favorite parts in this story than in others. Like, there weren't any that immediately came to mind. It's just so long, and there's nothing that sticks out a whole lot. Now, I will say that all of the Taehyung and Jungkook moments are very cute, and I really enjoy them, from the cabin scene, which, once you read the story, you'll understand what that means, as well as just their growing relationship and just the way they're characterized, because it does really fit them in real life. Jimin's journey to accepting himself is another big part of it for me, because in this story, he is very promiscuous, he smokes, he steals money from his mom, he skips class, he's not a good student, and he's one of those kids that you would immediately say he's in the wrong crowd. But he fit in the crowd, but he got caught up with the wrong people early on. Him moving on from that when he gets involved in cotton candy and starts seeing himself as worth more than that, just accepts himself and realizes that he can have more in life than what he's been giving himself. That's very wholesome. Every coming out scene, because there are a few, my favorite being Yoongi's, they're all just very well done, and even I like that it's not always, oh, we accept you. Is that all? I totally knew that already. As heartwarming as those scenes are, sometimes they're not realistic, and I do really like the way that some of the coming out scenes are, oh, okay, that's fine. We still love you. You're gonna I need a minute to process. And I really do like that because I think it is so realistic, and especially in the 90s. I assume that the 90s were not nearly as accepting as now. It's not like the 30s, but still. The truth or dare moment. I can't really say much about it, but there is a game of truth or dare that is absolutely wonderful, and I love it. And poor J-Hope. That's all I have to say to that, is poor J-Hope, but it's so awesome. Love that scene. The entirety of the epilogue, it's so sweet. I will say that, and I'll get more into this with my least favorite parts, I did struggle to finish the last 5, there's 25 chapters, the last 5 chapters or so, I really had to force myself to read, because I need to get this done, I need to get the video out, but the epilogue did make it worth it. The last chapter and the epilogue both, because it's what you're looking forward to through the whole thing. They're going to be going on this trip. If they win the school contest, well, they're still going to go even if they lose the school contest. But they're going to be going on a trip, this long trip to the beach, just as cotton candy. Everything it comes together really nicely, and it goes also back to Jimin accepting himself, and just how much has changed since the beginning of the story that you can just see, and it's wonderful. Okay. And my last favorite part is the way that friendship is represented in the OT7. It's all put together really well. High school best friends, a high school band. I could really see the amount of care and love that they had for each other, even when it wasn't always obvious. And I thought that was really, really well executed. Now getting into my least favorite parts. There is some slow pacing. I think that there are plenty of scenes that probably were unnecessary, or they could have been sped up through time skips one way or another. It's not an extremely Oh, this is Juby. So if you all have been wondering about the face, yeah, that does my sensors. This is Juby. She does the sensors. Isn't that right, Jube? Juby, are you gonna look at the camera? Yes, I know you're unhappy. Look at the camera. No, don't walk on the computer. This is Juby. You gotta go down there and be quiet. I know that's hard for you to do. Quiet. I somehow scared her and I don't know how. Juby, I don't know what she's doing. Yes, honey. What? Okay, well. 3 cats in 1 video. It's just amazing. That is the first time that Juby has wandered in here. Where was I at? It's not an extremely captivating story. I will say that even though I really did enjoy it in different parts and pieces, and when I first picked it up, I was really like, oh, this is good. It does kind of lose some of the traction. I don't know if that's the right word, but that pull. It loses that pull that makes you want to keep going to the next chapter. It loses that pretty early on. I wouldn't say that it was boring. The story is not boring, but if you have something else to do, like, it's not a story that you would forfeit going to Walmart. I'll go to Walmart and then when I come back I'll continue reading. It's one of those types of stories. Not bad, it's just not a page turner if there were actual pages. So yeah, and like I said before, I did struggle to finish those last couple of chapters. I'm glad I did, especially because I knew that if I forgot everything that happened, I don't know if I'd be able to reread it. It's not a story that I would reread. However, I will say that going into all of that being said, do I recommend the story? Yes, I do recommend the story. If you have the time to read it and you really enjoy 90s nostalgia and things like that, even if you haven't experienced the 90s like me, it's still a really fun story. It's funny in quite a few places. It has that kind of summer to fall in love type feel. It's very, even through the darker parts of it, there's a lot of feel-good moments, and the love story is truly so adorable that it makes up for everything. But yeah, you will have to sit down for a long story, and I'm not sure if I will reread the story at any point in time. It is one that I would recommend, especially if you're one of those people who likes those types of stories, the really, really long ones that you can just go through in a weekend and just have something to do. This is definitely one of those stories. So I think that's it for this video. I'm not sure if I did this fanfiction justice, just because there are a lot of little points in the story, and I do believe that'll be an issue for the longer stories if they're over maybe 150,000 words. I think that you start to lose some of the little details that, as you read through it, if you don't write it down immediately, you'll forget it. And then you'll read back through it, if you read back through it, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I wish I had said that. So I think I start to lose those as the stories get longer, but that's alright. So yeah, let me know what you all thought of the video. Leave a comment down below. Have you read the story? Are you going to read the story? Definitely let me know your thoughts on it if you do read it, especially with some of the points that I brought up and any points of your own. And hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all next time. Bye, guys.